G.
Oh, I see.
All right, we will go ahead and call this meeting to order. Nathan, would you take the roll, please?
Councilmember McPherson.
Here.
Councilmember Biggs.
Here.
Councilmember Laraway.
Yes.
Council President Bruce.
Here.
Mayor Steer.
And if you join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First item is a consent agenda. Any questions or comments or motion?
Do you have anything? Make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as published.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded for approval of the consent agenda. Is there any discussion on that motion? Nathan, would you poll the council?
Councilmember McPherson.
Yes.
Councilmember Biggs.
Yes.
Councilmember Laraway.
Yes.
Council President Bruce.
Yes.
And that motion carries. That takes us to public comments. Several people signed up here. If you would, when you're step up to the podium and make sure the light is on by pushing the base of the microphone. And I'll just call you up one at a time and you may have the floor. Rochelle Rocco. You wanted to go first, right?
Oh, okay, thank you. My name is Rochelle Rocco. My address is 1286 East Fort Erie Street. Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and City Council members. Thank you for allowing me, a CUNA resident, to publicly share my concern. First, I would like to thank the following individuals for meeting with my husband over the last 6 months. Stephen Barker, the city building official, Department of the Planning Zoning members, Director Doug Hanson, Jessica Hall, and Troy B., Paul Stevens, retired city engineer, Adam Wenger, Public Works Director, and Mayor Joe Stern. I'm especially grateful for Mayor Stern and Adam Wenger for visiting the property of concern. That property is the northwest section of the Sterling Ranch development located at Meridian and Ardell. To be specific, there are 23 homes built by Toll Brothers that are located on East Sweet Pearl, East Fort Erie, and North Thorndale that have experienced water incursion, mold, and damage to their crawl spaces since 2022. 11 of the 23 homes notified Toll Brothers while in builder warranty. Toll Brothers hired a third-party remediation company, Northwest Disaster, to dry out the crawl spaces and attempt to resolve future water incursion and damage. As of today, most of these homes continue to deal with water problems. These homeowners have subsequently hired qualified resolution companies who have spent from $7,000 to over $30,000 to mitigate this debacle. Thank you for your time. I will let my husband finish the comments.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Michael Rocco.
Michael Rocco, 1286 East Fort Erie Street in CUNA. Also, follow up what my wife was saying in conclusion. Unfortunately, 13 of those homes did not know of their crawl space damage until their warranty had expired. My heart is tender for these homeowners since they have never had their crawl spaces dried out sufficiently, nor do they know of black mold that is surely present. A handful of these neighbors are single women and/or senior citizens. Toll Brothers Idaho has given the appearance of being resolution-oriented, but they simply have obfuscated behind corporate lingo. The original affront was stating that this is normal for the Treasure Valley, though 90% of the rest of the Treasure it's normal for Treasure Valley. However, 90% of Sterling Ranches does not have crawl space problems. From there, they hide behind the fact that they hired Northwest Disaster to provide resolution. Lastly, they communicate with corporate confidence and condescension, knowing they possess a superior litigation posture. Most egregiously and shamefully, Toll Brothers knew they had a problem but chose not to notify the 13 homes that were damaged until the warranty expired. I have exhausted myself in an effort to find resolution. I can never in good faith state that Toll Brothers is a reputable builder. When I met with the planning and zoning staff, Troy asked me what I expected from the city. I have pondered that question for months, and now I know the answer. Mr. Mayor and esteemed city council members, after the annexation process is approved, after the developer meets with the public, after the planning and zoning staff get the developer to satisfy the city comprehensive plan, after the city attorney is satisfied, but before you stamp your final approval, please remember you represent the CUNA residents. Look at these developers steely-eyed, especially Toll Brothers. Tell them you have a long memory. And when they don't, especially when they don't treat your residents fairly, please remember this admonition the next time Toll Brothers comes before you for approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Laura Smith.
Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you for letting us speak. I'm Laura Smith. I live at 1263 East Sweet Pearl. After a lot of years of working hard and saving money, we bought our forever home. It is now forever wet. We were out of warranty by the time we found out we had water incursion under our home. It has not been fixed. We don't know how to fix it in order for it to stop the water coming in. I'm concerned about the future for health problems, structural problems, and if we ever decided to sell somewhere down the road, would any of you buy our home with water underneath it? Toll Brothers has kind of ignored us and/or given us things like, oh, it was a lot of rain. Oh, it was a lot of snow. There's no definite answer here, and nobody seems to be willing to fix it. I don't know what to do at this point. I'm very discouraged with Toll Brothers. You know, it's not just my home, it's 23 other homes. So it's not just one person in the CUNA residency here. And for one, you know, if Toll Brothers came to me and said they wanted to build some more houses, I would say, excuse me, you have 23 homes that you built that have now problems. So how can we let you build 23 more homes if we're going to have more problems? It's not fair to the community or the people that are buying these houses under good faith. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ryan Penny.
Hello, thank you again for your guys' time. Ryan Penny, 1319 East Sweet Pearl Street, Kuna, Idaho. I'm also one of the affected homes in this neighborhood. Luckily, I did fall under the warranty time period. The only reason that I found this out was because I went down and regularly checked my crawl space just because I have a very pesky and annoying realtor, but I love her for it. So since I got mine under warranty, I did have Northwestern Disaster come out, do the work. What I later realized was that this just kind of pushed the can down the road. As soon as I was out of warranty, the calls were not responded to, emails kind of came up under this corporate kind of wall, not getting anywhere. And then now Northwest Disaster has no longer been able to answer my calls, warranty their pumps. There is no warranty and for the work that was done down there. So to prevent getting hundreds of gallons a week from piling up into my crawl space, I had to go out of my way, spend my own money, and go that route. So just to speak a little bit more on what some of the neighbors have already said, we're not looking for, you know, just for everything to, I should say, like the pumps and everything to be covered. It's more that we're still at this issue where there is no solution. Water is still flooding in, still coming in for these 23 affected homes. And then another important context is that our section of the neighborhood is built up anywhere from 8 to 14 feet, something that the builder and developer did to kind of raise up where ours sit compared to what the existing terrain was. So all the homes that are raised, to our knowledge, are the ones that are affected. So that's where we asked the builder for some sort of cooperation to be able to look into this. So I've taken on a lot of the non-government, the private company route of trying to find different solutions, having anywhere from retired engineers to esteemed inspectors from the city and the state that are known well in the valley, and they've all kind of looked and said, hey, this is above our pay grade. You need some sort of higher-end engineers, someone to really spend time, dig in. What we've found so far is we can go as far as 12 feet deep and still hit just a bunch of clay that we kind of think has to cause to this. So just in the end, to reiterate, we are just seeking a solution from our builder in order to find this water solution so that we can protect ourselves in the future home sales, and just hold these builders accountable for some sort of other thing to not leave these consumers of homes high and dry after that one-year warranty lapses. We see the fault in that, where builders can really move on rather than a 5 to 10-year plan. When the houses actually settle, the true foundations are there, and the good bones are there to show. Thank you.
Thank you. Beverly Wolf.
Beverly Wolf, 3420 West Commemoration Avenue, Meridian. This makes this subject a little testier because I'm sorry to inform you, they voted in an 8% property tax increase last couple weeks ago. I understand this city is trying to run itself smoothly, not in debt. I appreciate how hard all of you work and you make hard decisions, but a lot of this growth has happened really fast, and here's another consequence. The other consequences that I think we're going to sit through tonight are additional rate increases, correct? Sewer, water, besides the taxes. And the fact that schools aren't funded, that they're going to be coming after us for more bonds and levies that will all outlast our mortgages. They just will. I've only been here 2 years, and I've come and I've learned and I've sat and I've listened. And insurance has gone up. Just my car insurance, my little car, I don't drive much. It's over $200 a year in 2 years. My HOA fees have virtually doubled. And I don't even know who oversees HOA. It appears to be a nonprofit entity. So what recourse do we have? Does the city know? No offense, do you care? The more builders that come in with these are putting other homeowners at risk or having to pay high fees at apparently no point check. I mean, basically the HOA fees went up higher than, probably faster than my property taxes. Am I at my time? Okay. Anyway, I understand you have to do things smart for the city, but when you voted in that increase, you voted in a bankroll. I don't know if everybody in this room can say they're going to see an 8% increase in their incomes this year. I don't know anybody who's ever gotten an 8% increase in the last couple of years. My husband left corporate America in California 4 or 5 years ago. The rate of increases had gone up. Well, if you got 1 or 2%, you were really doing well. So when the city accountant looks at that, do you consider the people? There are people behind these numbers. There are families struggling. Where's the balance? If the Facebook money's coming in next year, why do you need to bankroll us for a year? Take the cut. Give it back to the citizens who desperately are trying to pay their bills, fix their homes, feed their kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Art Brooks.
Hi, that's Ari Brooks.
Oh,
No
sorry.
worries. 1272 East Fort Erie Street, CUNA.
That's how I get for not putting my glasses on.
That's understood, no worries. I'm with the Sterling Ranch Group as well, and so I just wanted to mention that I've been in CUNA for a few years. My husband and I we call CUNA home, right? I am a mental health therapist. My job is to provide therapy for first responders, and my husband is also a college professor at the College of Idaho. We moved to Idaho to find a place where we belong. We decided to build Toll Brothers because of their reputation, right? We decided to come to CUNA because of its reputation. And although it took over 19 months to build our home during the height of the pandemic, we were really excited to finally be in a place where we thought, this is home. You can imagine how disappointed and disillusioned I felt when 1 week after signing our closing paperwork, our neighbors, not our builder, told us that there was water in our crawl space, which there was. So with that, we did have sump pumps installed by Toll. We're like, cool, that's great. I don't know anything about sump pumps, but they said this works. It did not work. Within the first year, not only had they failed, but they had failed catastrophically. This winter, when we all had a snow melt, I'm down there looking at lots of water. The electric circuit that both of the pumps on had failed, and when I crawled down there in the mud to plug them into an extension cord, I found that one of the pumps had also failed, right? Toll Brothers did nothing to fix that. Since that time, we have spent over $14,000 to remediate. We have taken the entire system out and put in a much better system. We're lucky. This is something we had in the bank, right? I could pull that out of my pocket and pay for it. What I'm here to ask is the council and the mayor to keep in mind that most people in this community cannot pay that amount of money, right? That is just simply not something that they have sitting around. We paid the money because we think of our home as our investment, both financially but also for our children. We want to be here long-term, and we want to be in a place where they can grow up healthy without risk of danger from mold. We're all here to ask to just hold Toll and all builders accountable for what they actually build. I don't expect to get any money back. I would just like to know that our community has a recourse in the future when inevitably something like this happens again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Can I ask, what, the time frame, I mean, the timeline here, when it was first, I guess, discovered, and then, to where we are now?
All right, so we moved in September of '22, so about 2 years ago this week, actually. We were told by our neighbors within a week that they had, many of them, experienced water. So I crawled down in my crawl space every single month after that, and within a month, I found that there had been water. I could see where it had dried and pooled on top of our vapor barrier. I had Toll put in, they came in and put in their pumps in the spring. And oddly, we didn't receive any water in our house at that time. Many of my neighbors did. Gallons upon gallons, hundreds of gallons of water. The majority of ours came in the fall and then last winter, and we've had pretty consistent water until spring again. We had an entirely new system put in. We haven't had any water since then, especially none that has pooled above. But I can tell that it's still plenty wet down there. It's squishy, it's uncomfortable. I have more faith in the new system, but you can imagine it just doesn't feel good to know that this is a lingering problem in the background. Does that answer your question?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Was there anybody else who wished to? Okay.
Hi, my name's Susan Peterson. I live at, oh God, what's the address? 1320 Sweet Pearl here in CUNA. I'm a part of this. When I bought my house, well, I went into the building before I actually purchased it in 7 of 22, and there was a huge swell gap, swell up on the subfloor. I let the builder know. They said they took care of it. I then had, that was in about July, I had a full-out inspection done before I moved in about September 9th of 22. What they found, what they found at the time, and they said that there was notable water in the crawl space that had been, possibly because of the winter, but this was September, we'd just gone through summer, and there was no irrigation. They found that the downspouts discharged. Well, it's right next to the foundation, there was no elbows and no extensions. They went on with other things too, but I signed the papers on 9 of 29. And I moved in. I signed on good faith, I've signed, based on their literature, that states that everything is graded away from the house, so it doesn't go under. So I went about business. I'm not construction. I do not crawl into crawl spaces. I would get stuck down there, especially without my phone. I'm too old for that. Advance a year later, during home warranty, I had on as the warranty's closing, 9/13 of 23, I had an inspection done. Toll Brothers accepted that full inspection report on 9 of 18. What it showed was there was large amounts at this time. Showed large amounts of water in this crawl space. That's when I notified them. Fast forward to November of 23, they send out their vendor. Their vendor installs 2 pumps. I've had electricians down there installing lines, people down there with pumps from November till May. Electricians at least 4 times. Those pump people down there, probably 6 to 8 because the pumps fail. I have never once, in all the time that they were in there, heard them come on. And I kept telling them that. 2 of them actually blew motors. Okay, that was between November and May. Toll Brothers already said that, so by June, I was tired, and I hired a vendor that had to answer to me. They went in, they found my insulation was wet. They found that there was standing water. They found the humidity. There was nothing that was done about the humidity on there. So I hired him, I said, fix it. The time that Toll Brothers vendor came out, never once could tell me where that water was coming from, even though I asked him. As a matter of fact, they actually said to me at one point, I can't talk about it, I can't tell you. Well, then what good are you, you know? So when my vendor came in, I asked him again, where is this water coming from? And we walked the house. And what he said was, number one, you're not graded. There's nothing graded up against the house. He also said that, that was one of them. I asked, and I consistently have asked if there's any mold or did I go over? I'm sorry. Okay. Whether it was mold, no mold, nobody ever said anything that, what they said about the installation, by the way, was it doesn't look wet, but they're looking from this side. The wet is coming from this side down. So they came out, they installed this whole system. It's a semi-encapsulation. I now have a humidifier, I have a pump and a backup pump, to the tune of about $30,000, which I can't afford. This past August, I had both sides of my houses graded, and what we found is their extension that they put in that faced toward the house were 8 inches long. They were dummies. They were put in there, they were 8 inches long, and they exited directly into those vents, both of them. I'm a little pissed. Does it sound bad? Tomorrow I have an inspector coming out who's going to take a look at my strut, the beams, and anything underneath that subfloor. And I hope it comes out good. Yeah, but I'll find out when that'll dry. But I actually want my money back. I'm not nice. I want my money back. And anything you can do, I would love it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Was there anybody else that wanted to? Okay. I've talked to her before, but if you would sign in here on this sheet, I'd appreciate it.
Okay.
So we got a record?
I wasn't planning on talking tonight.
Yeah, just name and address here on one of those.
My name is Gene Boyd, and I'm here on behalf of my daughter Jordan Boyd, 1259 East Fort Erie Street. I don't have exact dates. Like I said, I wasn't even planning on talking tonight, but this is really frustrating. She was a 23-year-old girl, single, bought her first house on her own. I was very proud of her. Had the house built. I was there for the not final inspection, but the year warranty inspection. And I know the guy from Toll Brothers, never went under that house. We never opened the crawl space, never went under there. 23-year-old girl is never going to think to go under her house to look for anything. She was never advised to, never talked to about. This issue didn't even become, we weren't even aware of it until other people started asking. So she called me up. She can't get under the house and look. She wouldn't even, well, she tried, but didn't have any idea what she's looking at. So I came here, looked. Sure enough, she has water in her house too. Toll Brothers do nothing. Your warranty's expired. So just frustrating. Like everybody else is asking, they need to be held accountable at least to do the right thing for people. It doesn't matter, she's only 23. I'm just a proud dad that my daughter was able to do this. Now, she doesn't know if she can ever sell her house, can't move, she's afraid of the mold. She can't afford to spend $30,000, let alone $10,000 or $15,000 to have it fixed. So I hope there's some way you can hold future people accountable so this doesn't happen to others. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Was there anybody else who wished to testify?
You want to hear more? I can give you a whole lot more if you want.
Well, I don't blame you even a little bit, so. All right. And that takes us to public hearings.
Can I ask one thing?
Yeah, you bet.
Mark, can you find out what the process is for multiple complaints like that, just so you could email it to me? Like, do we deal with that at a city level? How can we deal with it? What?
Yeah, I can follow up with you in an email on that. That's fine.
Thank you.
And we've been looking into it.
I got a question too.
Yeah.
Doug, this might be an awful lot, and I don't know, I'm asking you, do we have a building inspector that's with the city?
For the record, Doug Hanson, CUNA Planning and Zoning, yes, we have a building inspector.
Doesn't this person identify with this stuff, or? I guess the house is built, we get an approval of it, they move in, and then it floods. That's after the fact, but now that you have this information, is that something the building inspector can forewarn or somewhat prevent it?
I don't really have enough immediate information on the subject, so I'd rather not speak to it at this time. I'd happily set something up with you and the building official to actually talk about it and how we can look at these sort of things in the future, but I don't have enough of like the background information in order to give you the right answer that I'm comfortable with. Yep.
I appreciate it.
Okay. Item A, consideration to approve case number 24-03-AN. Applicant requests approval to annex approximately 10 acres into CUNA city limits with an M1 light industrial manufacturing zone. Troy.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. For the record, Troy Behunin, CUNA Planning and Zoning Department. Take care of this real quick. Kind of get out of the way. So the application before you this evening is only for annexation at this time. If they would like to do anything for future land uses, they'll have to come back through the public hearing process, but tonight is only for annexation. If the annexation is approved, this will add additional industrial acres directly adjacent to previously annexed properties that are known as case numbers 21-11AN and 22-08AN. This particular site touches the city limits on the east, the north, and the west side. It is located adjacent to the approved East Urban Renewal District, and it is within the Industrial Overlay District of the city. and would provide zoning consistency for the area, as well as consistent land uses with adjacent approvals and adjacent lands. Staff has reviewed the proposed annexation for compliance with CUNA City Code, Idaho State statutes, and the CUNA Comprehensive Plan. And should the council approve this, staff recommends that the applicant be subject to the proposed recommended conditions that are outlined in staff's memo. The applicant is here tonight, and I will also be here for any questions you might have.
Okay, thank you. Questions for Troy?
No, sir.
All right. Brian Frost. Are you are you the applicant? I meant to call the applicant. How's that?
I am the
Okay,
applicant, Brian
good.
Frost with Star Acres Property. Actually, I wasn't gonna sit to speak, Billy
Oh,
was, but I
okay.
can just tell you this is a 10-acre parcel that is completely landlocked. It's my property, current property touches it on two sides. Property came up to offer months after I already owned the other pieces around there, and just asking for annexation, as I said, and there's no way to get to this property and without going through my property on it.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so this is the public hearing. Beverly Wolf signed up to testify.
Beverly Wolf, 3420 West Commemoration Avenue. So this caught my attention because of the rating of rural preservation under Ada County, which doesn't exist in CUNA. So you're going to take rural preservation and make it light industrial. I get it's not too far from Meta. It's also not too far from some other ranch properties. And once you flip the switch on this, because it's not just annexation, it says right here, you're going to zone it. And that's my issue, because I sat through one of these in planning and zoning. And they're like, oh, no, it's just annexation, and it was this. But then I sat down, and they're like, oh, but now it's going to be zoned this. So I don't like that, but I'm just wondering, how much rural, how much ag, how much more do you flip before the city's ready? There's a lot of other components. I don't know. I mean, I hate to see so much land getting slipped away, and who's going to develop it? Is it being developed by American citizens? Is it being developed with non-toxic waste? How close will it be to other homes? It didn't look too far away from a body of water. I'm not sure if it was a part of a lake or a reservoir. So I'm just wondering, there's lots of ramifications to industrial. There's lots of potential toxic consequences. I'd like to know what's going to go in this area. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And that's all I had signed up to testify. Is there anybody else who wishes to testify in this matter? All right, seeing none, did you want to say anything? And are you good to go? You can if you would like.
Billy Edwards, 706 South Willis Avenue. I'm working with the property owner on a planning aspect. As Troy pointed out, a couple years back, as you'll see from the case numbers, we came in with 65-acre annexation. As the owner, Brian, has pointed out, this 10 acres is landlocked. It is surrounded on two sides by his property, and the property to the west is actually City of Cuna Sewer District. Regarding the zoning classification that we're requesting is compliant with the future land use map that's approved by the City of Cuna. So anything going into that property at that point in time will comply with the M1 designation, which City Code requires. Reviewing all agency comments, we're in total compliance with all comments by agency, including City of Cuna as well. Currently, right now, it's not being actively agricultural, as it is a landlocked piece with no farming really happening around it. So at this point, we are just looking at annexation. At which point, when we decide what's going in, we will come back in front of planning and zoning and yourselves for design review and preliminary plat, at which point in time we'll present everything compliant with that use. If there's any further questions you have, I can
Okay.
stand for those.
Questions?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, so the question is rightfully before council.
I make a motion that we close the public hearing and move to deliberation.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to close the public hearing and move to evidence presentation. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
It's,
Mayor, if I might. Mark Bidey, City Attorney, just for the record, you said you're moving into evidence presentation, and I think you meant deliberation.
Oh, yes, I did.
Okay.
good catch.
Close evidence presentation and proceed to deliberation. There.
Unless you guys had questions.
My only thought was I didn't see a public works statement in the package.
Yeah, you want to hold that first. You can go ahead, Matt. That's the only question you had?
That's my only question.
And I don't think there really will be until there's something
There.
to look at.
I was just, yeah, DEQ just said water and, their statement did say that water and sewage have to be compliant, or capacity is there, or there will be. This will be in the east sewer and water district, so I imagine that's to come.
Yes, Councilmember Biggs, this is Adam Winger, Public Works Director. This just being an annexation, that is not the scope of this step of the process. When, if it were to be approved for annexation, further plat review would require that it meets all those requirements for being on city sewer, water, pressurized irrigation, et cetera, as necessary.
Thank you.
And for the record, that was Adam Winger, Public Works Director. Further questions?
Actually, I do have one now. I know that, Mr. Mark, when we talk about annexation, and you know, we get back and forth with, once it's annexed, we're just checking boxes from there out. Do you see that being any kind of issue from here moving forward with the industrial side? I know residential, we've run into that before, where we've had something that we've annexed and then had issues with being able to deny it if something comes up.
Yeah, Mark Bybee, City Attorney. So what you're getting into is the difference between plat approval versus annexation approval. And it is an industrial plat. It is still a plat. It will still go through platting approval. The requirements for approval are quite distinct from a residential plat, obviously, because you're going to be having quite distinct uses, but we'll still follow a similar process. I think the significant thing, though, is a rezone, while it's a loop application, there's still discretion associated with rezones that's different from plats. So if the concern were that this were to become something other than industrial, there would have to be a rezone, which would still be a discretionary matter. And again, compliance with future land use map would be required. And you think about, this is, if I understood right, it is in East Kuna, which is intended to be industrial uses, and so that'd be a stark shift from where the city's headed with that area to suddenly shift it to some different use, such as residential or even commercial. And so there would have to be changes to the comprehensive plan to accommodate for a rezone of that type. I think it'd be pretty problematic. Unless some future council just disregards future land use mapping, but I think that's unlikely.
I just wanted to make sure I had it correct. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, good question, because the future land use map is, they have a committee that's under review, so.
Yeah.
They would go through a high-rise building there for something. I agree. I understand the rezone power.
Well, it's got us before,
versus
right?
the annexation powers, right?
anyone?
And there's quite a bit of restrictions on light industrial also. It's not heavy industrial, so that cuts back on some of those uses people would be concerned about.
And this falls into the place of what, well, do you guys have any other questions?
No, I do have a comment. The parcel number's wrong on the staff memo. It should read S200 823-3000, not 822. Because when I typed that in, nothing came up, but I found it, so. Just a, I'm sure, error with the finger typing too fast on a keyboard.
Good catch.
Any other questions?
I don't have anything else.
All right, now I make a motion that we close evidence presentation and move to deliberation.
Second stands.
Motions are made to close evidence presentation and proceed to deliberation. Is there any further discussion on that motion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
Anyone have any thoughts about it, or?
I'm fine with it.
It's in the industrial area that we decided when we took on this project, that that's where.
And it'll probably, looking at the map, the way it sits, it'll tie in with their other project at some point, most likely.
Mr. Biggs?
I have nothing.
No.
And we just need to put in the motion then to correct that number that
It's, well, yeah, what,
Councilmember McPherson found.
Yeah, I'd want to make sure we identify the correct parcel we're annexing for sure in motion and then in the written decision that staff prepares.
Okay.
Councilman McPherson, what did you say the correct parcel number was?
S200 823-3000, I believe. Let me double check the thing.
Well, I think we can just request that staff correct
Okay,
that
yeah.
staff correct,
parcel
okay.
number with the, when they come back with the decision, written decision.
You good? I make a motion that we approve case number 24-03-AN with the update to the parcel number per staff, by staff.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any further discussion on that motion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? And that motion carries. That takes us to item B, consideration to approve resolution R 47-2024, the East Cuna Water System rates, and R 48-2024, the East Cuna Sewer System rates. Morgan Treasure.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Per state code, whenever we're doing any kind of fee adoption or change, the rate study has to come all the way back through a noticing period and a public hearing. These rates that are before you tonight in this rate study are the initial rates that we have set up for the East Cuna water and wastewater system. So we took the construction documents and the proposed operations for Meta and handed them over to Keller, who's been preparing our water and wastewater rate studies for the city for quite some time. to set the base rates that were required so that after the city accepts dedication of that system, we have something in place so we can legally bill them. So those are the rates we're looking at tonight, is just that initial set point of the bills that Meta will be paying. So when you look at these fees that are in the resolution, that is based on one ratepayer covering the entire operation of the system. That's why it's set up with that fixed monthly cost and then that usage rate. And the water and the wastewater are both structured that way. I'm happy to answer any questions. Adam and Jared are also here if you have anything very technical, because that's not my part of it, but happy to answer any questions. This is our initial rates that we have to get established so we can start billing Meta when the system comes over to the city.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Question, as far as the rates receiving, does the money we receive go into the general fund, or does it go back into the Urban Renewal District fund?
Those will actually go into the system funds, and I will let Jared explain how that works more specifically.
Jared Empey, City Treasurer. So Councilman Laraway, if you remember during the budgeting process, we had the East Water Fund and the East Sewer Fund. So those funds will stay within those respective funds.
Okay, thank you.
And those are actually enterprise funds, so they won't intermingle with your regular property tax budget or anything like that. And then this is the east system, so it doesn't affect anything to do with current users in the city of Kuna. This is that system only.
That's what I was gonna ask. I was gonna make sure that this was paying for itself. The users, that way we're not asking the rest of the citizens to carry the burden for their usage.
Yes, Councilman Bruce, that's exactly. The systems don't tie together. That's why this has a separate entire rate structure.
And the only property zone or industrial that will be utilizing this?
Correct. As of today, Meta is the only user that's connected to the system. We can't even contemplate connecting other users to the system until after we take it on as a city asset.
And the nice thing about this is also that Meta is the only user. They're the ones that will be paying the rate, so it's easy to say that they need to pay for the whole thing. So it won't be a matter of trying to figure out if it's exactly right or not. It just will be, so.
Well, and I'd like to say thank you to Morgan too. I know that we went back and forth about that, them using it and paying to use it. I'm glad it's come back to us for this, so thank you.
Anything further? All right, so
It's a
this
public hearing.
is.
It's a public.
So this is a public hearing. We have it on the sign-up sheet as two separate items. So we'll begin with R 47-24. Which is for the water, yes. So the only person that had signed up to testify was Beverly Wolf. Is there anybody else who wishes to testify in this matter? Okay, Beverly, you may have the floor.
Beverly Wolf, 3420 West Commemoration. Thank you for answering all my questions, because I thought this was going to affect residential, but you've clarified that it's Meta only, so I will not have any complaints. I just didn't want to see anybody's water or sewer bill go up, so thank you for clarifying that. And with that, just sit down.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? All right. I guess we probably want to do these one at a time, so let's just go ahead and do it that way.
So I make a motion that we close evidence presentation and move to deliberation.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to close evidence presentation and proceed to deliberation on resolution number R 47-2024. Is there any further discussion on that motion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
Make a motion that we close evidence presentation and move to deliberation for R 48-2024.
I haven't called that one up yet for public hearing.
Okay.
That's why I separated them, because I
Yeah.
got two sheets here, so I just wanted to make sure we got that clear. Or, if you would like, Beverly, did you wish to testify on the sewer rates? Okay. Okay, so we can't
Yeah.
do both. Was there
I
anybody else?
jumped
who-
the gun, that's why.
Anybody else who wished to testify on the sewer rate? All right, thank you. All right, now you can go ahead and do that, I guess.
My motion stands.
All right?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to close evidence presentation and proceed to deliberation on R 48-2024 also. Is there any further discussion on that motion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Make a motion that we approve resolution number R 47-2024.
Second.
Yes, Mark?
Mark Bybee, City Attorney. Doug noted on at least one of these resolutions, the date was wrong, so I'd just say says August 20th on the one that's in the packet, so just verify and update the approval date to the correct date. I don't know if it looks different on the one that you're holding, Mayor, or not.
Okay.
So how did you want that?
To the current date? tonight?
Update, I just amend the resolution by striking the incorrect date and writing in the correct date. See what I'm talking about?
So we just amend it to say September 3rd, 2024.
Yes.
Okay. And is that the same on both of them?
Doug just pointed at one. I haven't checked the other one yet. It's both, yes.
Okay.
Can we approve these you want to do these in separate motions, or you want to?
I think since we've got them together now.
We can just do it.
Yes.
I make a motion that we approve resolution R 47-2024 and R 48-2024 with a date of September 3rd, 2024.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Is there any further discussion on that motion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. All right, that takes us to ordinances. Consideration to approve ordinance 2024-28, a municipal rezone ordinance of the City Council of the City of Cuna, making certain findings and declaration of authority and rezoning certain real property to wit, Ada County Assessor Parcel Numbers R52257500015 and R52257500020, owned by Alliance Serving Cuna Incorporated, situated in the corporate limits of City of Cuna, Ada County, Idaho, and amending the zoning map and directing the city engineer and city clerk and providing an effective date.
Make a motion that we waive 3 readings of ordinance 2024-28.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to waive the 3 readings. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I make a motion that we approve ordinance 2024-28 as published.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded for approval of the ordinance. Is there any further discussion on that motion? Nathan, would you poll the council, please?
Councilmember McPherson?
Yes.
Councilmember Biggs?
Yes.
Councilmember Laraway?
Yes.
Council President Bruce?
Yes.
And that motion carries. Consideration to approve ordinance number 2024-29, a municipal annexation and zoning ordinance of the City Council of the City of Cuna, making certain findings and declaration of authority and annexing certain real properties to wit, Ada County Assessor's parcel number S13132124000, owned by Richard Marino within the unincorporated area of Ada County, Idaho, and contiguous to the corporate limits of the City of Cuna, into the City of Cuna, Idaho, and establishing the zoning classifications of said real property, and directing the city engineer and the city clerk, and providing an effective date.
Make a motion that we waive 3 readings of ordinance 2024-29.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to waive the 3 readings. Is there any further discussion on that motion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries.
Make a motion that we approve ordinance 2024-2029 as published.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded for approval of the ordinance. Is there any further discussion on that motion? Nathan, would you poll the council?
Councilmember McPherson?
Yes.
Councilmember Biggs?
Yes.
Councilmember Laraway?
Yes.
Council President Bruce?
Yes.
And that motion carries. Consideration to approve ordinance 2024-30, a municipal rezone ordinance, City Council, City of Cuna, making certain findings and declaration of authority and rezoning certain real property to wit, Ada County Assessor's parcel numbers S14222131512, S14222444700, S142242800, S14223151000, and S14224495550, owned by Falcon Crest LLC, and parcel number S142231550, owned by Falcon Crest Club Partners LLC, situated in the corporate city limits of the City of Cuna, Idaho, and amending the zoning map, directing the city engineer and city clerk, and providing an effective date.
Make a motion that we waive 3 readings of ordinance 2024-30.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to waive the 3 readings of the ordinance. Is there any further discussion on that motion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries.
Make a motion that we approve ordinance 2024-30 as published.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded for approval of the ordinance. Is there any further discussion on that motion? Nathan, would you poll the council?
Councilmember McPherson?
Yes.
Councilmember Biggs?
Yes.
Councilmember Laraway?
Yes.
Council President Bruce?
Yes.
And that motion carries. And that is the last thing we have on the agenda, with the exception of an executive session. We're going to enter into executive session. When we come out, we won't make any decisions, and there will be no more discussion on that after we come out of executive session. So anyone who would like to can certainly hang around, but there won't be anything to say after that, so.
I make a motion that we enter an executive session under 74-206C. And who do we need? Council,
Myself,
mayor.
Council, Morgan,
The treasurer, or the director?
Mark?
Treasurer.
Jared, do you want to come in? Okay, Jared too. All right, so we have a motion to adjourn into executive session. All those in favor say aye.
And Adam, the public works director.
Oh, Adam, yes.
Nice try. Nice try.
Like getting out of here.